Teacher, don't you care if we drown?
It was a desperate cry, full of fear, full of confusion, and perhaps full of something else, the ache of feeling abandoned in the middle of chaos. "2,000 years ago, along the western shore of the Sea of Galilee, a man named Jesus of Nazareth had been teaching crowds from sunrise to sunset. The lake stretched nearly 13 miles long, nestled between rugged hills, beautiful in calm, but treacherous when the winds came down from the north. It was evening. Jesus had spent the whole day speaking to the multitudes who pressed around him on the shoreline. Now, weary and surrounded by disciples, he made a decision.
Let us go across to the other side.
The disciples, fishermen who knew this lake well, began preparing. They helped Jesus into the bow of a wooden fishing vessel, the same sturdy boats they had worked their whole lives. A few other boats followed alongside. The disciples took their positions at the oars and the sail. Jesus, exhausted from the day, lay down on the cushion in the stern and fell into a deep sleep. Without warning, the sky changed. A violent squall came roaring across the lake. The Sea of Galilee is known for sudden, ferocious storms, when cold air from the surrounding highlands rushes down and clashes with the warmer water below. In minutes, the calm surface became a churning, heaving mass of waves. Water crashed over the sides of the boat. The disciples bailed frantically, but the swells grew higher. The hull groaned, the ropes strained, rain lashed their faces. These experienced fishermen, men who had spent their lives on this lake, were terrified. They genuinely believed they were going to die. And through all of it, Jesus slept. The disciples stumbled to the stern where Jesus lay still, his head resting on the cushion, the boat pitching violently beneath him.
Teacher, don't you care if we drown?
It was a desperate cry, full of fear, full of confusion, and perhaps full of something else, the ache of feeling abandoned in the middle of chaos. Jesus awoke. He stood in the stern of the pitching boat, and he looked out at the storm. And then he spoke, not to the disciples.
Quiet! Be still!
The wind stopped. Completely, suddenly, impossibly, the wind died. The waves smoothed. The lake became flat and glassy, as if the storm had never happened at all. A deep calm settled over the water. The whole thing took only seconds. Jesus turned to his disciples. His voice was not angry, but it carried weight.
Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?
The disciples stood in silence. They looked at the mirror-flat water. They looked at the sky, now clearing. They looked at each other. They were more afraid now than they had been during the storm.
Even the wind and the waves obey him.
This is one of the oldest stories in the Christian faith, a story told first by people who were there, who saw what happened on that water. It is not simply a story about a miracle. It is a question about identity, about who Jesus is, about what it means to have faith in the middle of a storm. Not the absence of fear, but the presence of trust. Whatever storms you face, whatever waves rise around you, this ancient story asks the same question it asked those fishermen on the lake. Do you still have no faith?